Hi, and welcome to another episode of It's Just Racing, hosted by Jim and Jim. I'm Jim.
And I'm Jim.
We're here to talk about racing. Trucks were off again in the Nascar world. Don't know why. Running a short track in Iowa. Where else should pickup trucks race, huh? Anyhow, so Xfinity Series at Iowa. Jesse Love qualified first, but that didn't matter because Connor Zilisch grabbed the lead from the fourth starting position before lap 1 even ended. But there was a caution for Ryan Sieg. He got loose, probably cold tires, low air pressures. After one lap, he got loose, got into Austin Dillon, who shouldn't have even been there because he was filling in the suspended Austin Hill. So Austin was driving for Austin and got hit on the first lap. So that's kind of funny, at least in my mind. Anyhow, Connor Zilisch restarted in first and led every lap to win stage 1. He was dominant. It was obvious he was going to lead every single lap of the race and win without a problem. But wait, there's more. Jesse Love won the race off pit road. But the bigger story is Connor Zilich's team didn't get the left front lug nuts tight. He had to pit a second time, dropping him down to 27th position. Last car on the lead lap. He had his work cut out for him after that.
I guess that's the only way you can stop him.
There's been a lot of issues on pit road with him this year. I don't know how many races he probably hasn't won because of pit road. I know a couple beginning of the season were his fault for speeding, and now we've got this. But I suppose you can't win them all. He is 19 now, though, so he's older. He won't speed anymore. He knows better. Jesse Love led to start stage 2. About halfway through, Ross Chastain, who was driving the other junior motorsports car, he grabbed the lead, and there was a single car spin, caution. Don't remember who it was, Ryan Ellis or somebody, I think. Chastain held on to the lead at the restart and won stage 2. Chastain led again to start the third stage. Then NASCAR got stupid with the yellow flag. Dean Thompson got kind of sideways, got the car straightened back out, and then after he was straightened back out, NASCAR decided we should probably throw a caution flag here.
I think I remember seeing that. He hit a real big and slow slide, and then he saved it, and they had like 5 seconds when he was not spinning that they could have thrown it, but then they waited till he had saved it.
He wasn't even 90 degrees sideways. He was probably 40, 45 degrees. It was goofy. He was less sideways than every single sprint car that raced all weekend, but they threw the yellow anyway. Anyhow, Ross Chastain still led after that. They were just getting ready. Announcers were just talking about green flag pit stops and the different strategies, and will some people take 2 tires? Will some people take 4? Daniel Dye cut a right front tire and slammed the wall, so that threw everything out the window. Everybody pitted, as they should have. Brandon Jones' team actually got him off pit road first. But Jesse Love just launched out of nowhere from the third row to the lead before the end of the first lap. Caution flew Connor Zilisch. He had driven back up into the top 10. Ran out of talent a little bit. Tagged one of his teammates, Ross Chastain, who then hit another one of his teammates, Justin Allgaier, and spun Allgaier. Thought that was a fun meeting on Monday morning. Teammates on teammate crime. So, restarted again. Jesse Love still led. There was some oil on the track from someone who had checked up. Someone else got into him. I don't know who it was. I want to say it was DiBenedetto or Alfredo. Front end got caved in during the junior motorsports little get together and was leaking oil, and NASCAR didn't see it. I don't know how they don't have people looking at the track, but a bunch of people got into it. Brandon Jones spun into the wall, and that finally brought out the caution so they could clean up the oil. Restarted with 17 to go. Sam Mayer, good old Wisconsin fella, had the lead. It was silly. There's like a 6-car battle. They were all faster than Sam Mayer, but they were all fighting each other for 6th place, and Mayer just drove away and won the race. So he got his first win of the season, and his second, I won't say straight, or it wasn't a streak. It was his second consecutive victory at Iowa.
And one notable thing with the point standings, even though they don't matter, I still would like to point it out. It is now tied. Justin Allgaier and Connor Zilic are level on points. And recall that Zilic has run one fewer race.
You're going to say that every week.
Hey, if he's in the lead, yeah. You get bonus points for the regular season championship, which is coming up soon.
The kid is doing a lot of stuff right. I'm proud of you, Connor. Good job.
Formula One was back this weekend. They were in Hungary, racing at the Hungaroring, an aptly named track. It's easy to remember where it is. Pole position for your buddy Charles Leclerc.
Yes, Ferrari finally put together a couple good laps.
Yeah, a big surprise from Ferrari. They just found some pace. Unfortunately, Lewis Hamilton didn't find that pace. He was stuck down outside of the top 10. But so Charles led from both McLaren teammates. Also, Aston Martin had a very good qualifying. They started 5th and 6th after they've had a really tough year so far.
They've had a tough couple of years.
And one other note, Yuki Tsunoda started from the pit lane. I think he had to replace some extra components, something like that.
But he probably qualified like 17th anyway, so it didn't matter.
He was out of it either way. It was probably just a testing session. Lando lost 2 spots right away at the start. Not a good start from him. He was back in 5th place by the end of turn 1. Charles held the lead. Oscar could get about a 1.5 seconds behind him, but he didn't have enough pace to pass right away. So really surprising pace from Ferrari. I expected them to drop off right away, but Charles looked pretty strong early on, and he held the lead through the first round of pit stops, even though Oscar tried to undercut him. Didn't quite have enough. Lando decided at this point to split the strategy to try to do a one-stopper to get ahead of Oscar, because really it's just them in the championship battle. And so the team, I really like what the team is doing. I know some people complain that they give the preferential strategy to one driver or another, but this race, I thought they did it really well. You could hear them asking for the driver input on what they wanted to do, and then they did that, and really gave both of them a good strategy.
Yeah, Zach Brown is letting them play. He's letting them both race for it, and whoever wins. Just don't wreck each other.
So I'm really liking the championship battle we've got shaping up with that dynamic. And again, as a McLaren fan, it's fun to see them win.
You can't lose either way, I guess.
But yeah, so Lando decided that strategy because he was losing time, stuck behind Fernando and George Russell before he could pass them. You lose a lot of time behind the Aston Martins and Mercedes. They're pretty slow cars. Also a note, Nico Hülkenberg got a 5-second penalty for jumping the start. He got a really good start and a little too good, it turns out. Passed like 5 people on the first lap.
But that had nothing to do with the penalty.
Yeah, actually his start was just perfect. It was just, he jumped a little bit, like when he dropped the clutch or whatever.
He dropped the clutch and the car moved like 2 centimeters, and that's what triggered the penalty. It was seconds before the race even started. I think it's stupid, but whatever.
Another thing that I thought was interesting was the whole race, Max Verstappen was really struggling. He only qualified in P8 and just had no pace. He couldn't pass anyone. He was behind the Sauber of Gabriel Bortoleto and couldn't even get close to him during the race.
And wasn't it just like 2 days before this race that he said, everybody shut up, I'm staying with Red Bull?
Yeah,
and then he has his worst race of the year.
Yeah, he put the rumors of the Mercedes move to rest, and now the Red Bull looks like it's maybe the slowest car. It's definitely down there with the Alpine. One of those is the slowest, I'd say.
Yeah, when the best driver can barely stay in the top 10.
And then I wanted to discuss a little bit a pass that Max made on Lewis Hamilton for 11th place, which talked to someone 4 years ago and
Wow.
say Max and Lewis would be fighting for 11th place. No one could see that coming. But so it was a left-hand turn, big braking zone, and Max just stuck the nose inside. Um, I didn't like the move. There wasn't any action taken.
There was no contact either.
No, I didn't like the move though. He Max's front wing, when you pause it at the moment where there would have been contact, where Lewis had to go wide and he went way off track. Max's front wing was level with Lewis's rear wheels, and to me that's not far enough alongside to justify taking the inside and that being your corner. That's the thing that Formula One, they differ from most other racing series and how they enforce that stuff. Formula One's about the only series where that's okay, and that is a thing. Max is going to do that. He's always driven that way, so at least it's predictable. Because if you see Max coming on the inside, he's going to put his car in a position where you either have to back out or crash. It's really aggressive, and I don't like it when it happens in real time.
I have to say though, the only reason we even knew it happened was because Lewis overreacted so much that he drove completely off the track when Max was there, when that was completely unnecessary. So,
anyways, that they weren't even in the points at that point, so it didn't really matter for the race. After everybody's second stop, Lando, who still was on that one stop, led the race from Charles and Oscar. Oscar was able to get around the Ferrari on lap 51, and he started to chase down his teammate and main title rival. So with 19 to go, the gap was 9 seconds, so it was going to be close, because Oscar had fresher tires, but Lando had a big gap. Somewhere around this point, I forgot what exactly happened, but Ollie Behrman in the Haas, his car stopped working, and he did not finish the race. I don't remember exactly what happened.
I don't either. Yeah, they didn't really say much. He was like around 11th or 12th, and something happened, and then he was gone, and nothing was really said.
I guess more attention was focused on the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc at this point, because he started to have some major problems. His pace, which had been really good up to that point, it was right around when Oscar passed him. The pace just was gone. It just fell off a cliff. He was losing over a second per lap. He was audibly upset on the team radio.
Now, I heard some things. Of course, with Formula One, you never know if you're hearing reality or what somebody made up or what somebody wants to happen. But from multiple sources, I heard that the issue was they were concerned with the skid plate wear because the Ferraris are lower than everybody else. So, and that's what Charles was complaining about, that he would have fixed it differently and nobody knew what he was talking about. But apparently they just jacked up the tire pressures to raise the car for the end of the race so he wouldn't be DQ'd for excessive skid plate wear, which would explain why all of a sudden the car just dropped off.
Right after that second pit stop.
Tire pressure builds and it throws everything off, which would make sense, and would also make sense why Charles was complaining that that's not what he would have done. He would have fixed it differently, but nobody would listen to him.
Yeah, it looked really bad to drive. Yeah, I felt bad for Charles. He thought he was going to have a chance to win the race, and then all of a sudden he was in a whole different class, and not in a good way.
No.
So then George Russell closed in on him super fast. Charles, he made a couple aggressive moves. He got a penalty as George passed him for erratic driving, because under braking into turn one, George made it very clear he was going to the inside, and then Charles moved in reaction to that. He actually moved twice. He initially moved in reaction, and then as George pulled alongside him, he squeezed him even more. George got past, and it was a 5-second penalty for
It
Charles.
didn't really affect the race.
But it was a
Charles
deserved
was
penalty.
pissed. Yeah, it was. He was pissed about everything and let it get to him. He's normally a rather calm fellow.
Then with 2 laps to go, Oscar had closed right up to the rear bumper of Lando, and he tried to move into turn 1 from a little too far back. He locked up the tires and just barely missed a collision. It was pretty close. Just another few centimeters, and George Russell would have been gifted a win.
Did you hear in the cool down room? George Russell said, "You should have just T-boned him, man."
I didn't. That sounds like George.
It was funny.
But anyways, that gave Lando the space he needed to bring it home for McLaren's 200th win as a constructor. And so then Oscar finished second, and George rounded out your podium. A couple other notable finishes. Aston Martin, both cars scored points. I believe they were 5th and 7th.
Is that the first time this year? It's got to be pretty close.
Yeah, because they had a pretty rough year going, and this was a good race for them.
Yep.
A career best 6th place for Gabriel Bortoleto in the Sauber, and he was also driver of the day, so well done to him. And only 9th place for Max Verstappen. He was behind Liam Lawson, so that Red Bull, it's not very good.
No, it's not.
Hopefully they figure something out for Max in the 3 weeks off before his home race. They will be at Zandvoort at the end of the month.
Didn't they just have 3 weeks off?
Yeah.
And then they had 2 races and now 3 more weeks off?
Yep.
The summer break. That's a lot of off.
Well, they don't race every week. This is the longest the schedule's ever been, so you get more racing than anyone ever has in Formula 1.
I guess.
You can't complain about that.
I just don't like 3 weeks off. I like to start my Sunday mornings at 6 a.m. with a Formula 1 race. That's how it should be. All right. I didn't watch the Cup race because I was busy. But William Byron won the Cup race at Iowa, which also moved him into the meaningless points lead. The Hendrick cars are dominating. The top 3 cars in the meaningless points are Hendrick cars. William Byron first, Chase Elliott second, Kyle Larson third. Their worst driver that everybody is calling to get fired is Alex Bowman, who's in 9th place. He does not have a win. Interesting, I keep hoping that the point system will get broken. We still have a little bit of a chance. 3 of the top 16 are winless. So if we get 3 new winners from way back in Shane Van Gisbergen land, things could get interesting. So Tyler Reddick is in 6th without a win. Alex Bowman's in 9th, as I said, and Chris Buescher is in 11th. And all 3 of them could get kicked out by guys in 30th place if they get a win. Makes no sense to me. Speaking of Chris Buescher, he's going to be pulling double duty this weekend at Watkins Glen. I'm not sure what the deal is here. He's going to be making his first Truck Series start in the Thor Sport number 66. It's usually driven by Luke Fenhouse and a couple other people. I don't know why they're doing this. If you're going to bring somebody in, bring in a road course guy. I don't know that Chris Buescher's a road course guy off the top of my head.
Maybe he's worried about, a new winner in the Cup Series, so he wants some extra practice.
Need some practice? Yeah, that could be. I don't know. It just seemed weird. Speaking of the trucks, Caden Honeycutt was fired from his driver duties at Nice, effective immediately. And he will be replaced by Bailey Curry following this weekend. There's a lot of speculation. The only thing we do know is he was fired because he signed a contract with a different team next year, who is a different manufacturer, so a non-Chevy team. So it's like he gave us 2 weeks notice and the boss said, "Screw you, get out of here right now." So they fired him.
And just to note, he's running 6th in points currently.
Yeah, so even dumber. We're going to fire you while your only chance of doing anything in points.
Hey, Matt Mills could still get a win and make the playoffs.
So, one rumor, obviously, is that he's going to Dodge because Dodge is coming back. Sorry, they call themselves Ram now, but Ram is a model, not a make in my life. Um, but also, there's a lot of talk that he will be taking over the number 11 of Corey Heim when Corey Heim moves to wherever he's going to move up to after winning the Truck Series championship this year. But nobody knows. Anyhow, as I said, he's going to be replaced by Bailey Curry after this weekend. Caden Honeycutt will be in the O2 this week. I don't even remember who.
I think it was Young Motorsport.
Okay. And then after this week, he's going to be driving Stuart Friesen's number 52 for the rest of the season. After Friesen's nasty modified crash last week. But this weekend, in Stuart Friesen's 52, Christopher Bell is going to be racing it at Watkins Glen, so he's pulling double duty trucks and cup. Also pulling double duty, Michael McDowell, who's going to be driving the Colleague number 11 in the Xfinity Series after they fired Josh Williams last week. And Kyle Busch is going to be running a truck for Spire. Also in Truck Series news, 17-year-old Brent Cruz, love the guy, he can drive anything. He has started his own truck team at 17 and will run his first race this weekend. The story is that he sold his Trans Am TA2 operation and his Microspin operation to fund the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series operation. You're 17, you own nothing. That's just a dumb story. I don't believe it. Obviously, parents or somebody are involved. You can't tell me a 17-year-old has started a NASCAR series team. But hey, good luck to him. I don't remember what number he's running. I want to say 70, but I could be completely wrong. And finally, Connor Zilisch will be running all 3 races this weekend. He's going to be in the number 45 Nice Motorsports truck for the fired Caden Honeycutt, just for this weekend. In his regular Junior Motorsports number 88 in Xfinity, and in the Trackhouse number 87 car on Sunday. Do you, the biggest Connor Zilisch fan in the world, think he's going to sweep the weekend?
No, there's no chance. I think he'll probably win the Xfinity race. I think he'll be a top 5 in the truck race. I don't know that he'll win that. And the cup race, I think, will be too chaotic. SVG will be up there. There's a couple guys. Christopher Bell can drive on road courses. Ty Gibbs can drive on road courses. I just don't think he can pull all that off. Although I am excited. Is that going to be another Red Bull sponsored car?
Because I would assume so.
I like the Red Bull livery Cup Series cars. It brings me back to the nostalgia of Scott Speed 2007 or 8. One of my first memories of cheering for a driver.
Well, I'm going to be the contrarian, and I'm going to say Connor Zilisch is going to sweep the weekend as a 19-year-old kid. I think that, I don't know. I like the kid. I think that'd be awesome. I think it would humble a lot of people, and a lot of people need humbling. So, hey, why not have Connor, the happy guy, do it?
Well, moving on to the reason why you didn't watch the Cup Series race, that's because we were at Road America for the Imsa race on Sunday. It was a comfortable temperature and a good day for racing.
It was a lovely day, wasn't it?
It was. We had a few support races, the Mustangs, Lamborghinis, and Porsches.
Not all together.
No, they each had their own race. So that was nice. I like my Lamborghinis. And this is the last year of the V10 Huracan because they're replacing it with a new model that only uses a V8, which I'll be sad about. But at least we got to hear them one more time because I really like that car that they've got right now. Moving on to the main IMSA race, there were 48 cars who started. Pole position went to the number 93 Meyer Shank Acura entry. Nick Yellowly put that on pole. I think that's two or three. The last 2 or 3 races, that car has been on pole position. There were a lot of cautions in this race.
It was rough.
Yeah. IMSA, I like the racing, but the cautions, they take way too long. And usually there aren't too many of them, but the driving standards, especially from the GT guys, they were really disappointing this weekend. Starting off right away, lap 1, the championship leader in LMP2 got spun by the CrowdStrike car. I don't know what number it is. I just know it's the guy who's the CEO of CrowdStrike.
Oh yeah, some rich guy who bought himself a ride and then dumped somebody in turn 1.
Yes, he spun the championship leader in turn 1. He went into the wall, lost a bunch of laps with damage. So that was a caution right away. Then when we got going green, we got 1 lap in, and on the second lap, the Inception Ferrari, one of the GT cars, went wide at turn 7. I saw this. I actually walked over to go see it after it happened and thought that's a really weird spot to crash. And when I saw the replay, it was, yeah, he went wide after the corner was over and then was in the grass and didn't lift and hit the wall. So really confusing what he was trying to do there. Didn't end up very well for the team.
I think he was confused too, apparently.
Yeah. So that was another caution. Then we were able to get a few laps in before there was a caution for the number 52 LMP2 car, which got in the gravel on the exit of the carousel as just a little wobble. Looked like he put the power down a little too early, and the carousel, it's not a very forgiving turn, and so he went off straight into the gravel and the wall. That was another caution. And so by this point, some of the GT cars were starting to think about fuel strategy because most of the race had been under caution to this point. One of the Lexus, the Jimmy Vasser cars, made it 1 hour and 25 minutes on a tank of fuel.
So if you're driving around at a third throttle, I suppose you can do that.
Yeah, and Rexy also tried a fuel strategy that didn't quite work out. It looked exciting for a while. Didn't quite get him to the finish. Porsche Penske took the lead in the pit lane under caution. They had really good pit stops. Both cars got in front of the Acuras. And this is when the argy-bargy started in the GT class. The first incident is turn 1 on the restart. One of the Paul Miller BMWs spun the leading Corvette in turn 1 and later got a drive-through penalty for that contact. And then about 10 seconds later, the other Corvette in turn 3 spun himself across Rexy. And then while avoiding that crash, one of the Mustangs and an Aston Martin got into it. The Aston Martin got airborne. The Mustang had to retire from damage. There were parts all over the track. And so another caution. So we didn't have a lot of green flag racing so far. After that, there's just under 1 hour left when we finally got racing for real and stayed green for a little bit. But then Ricky Taylor in the Wayne Taylor Cadillac, he tried to cross over Nick Tandy in the Porsche Penske, which is the championship leader. This happened right in front of us, so we got a good view. Coming up the hill towards turn 6, Tandy just drove him off the track. And Ricky Taylor spun a few times and
then he drove back to us.
Yeah, so he was parked facing the wrong way at the top of the hill.
He was pissed.
Yeah, he was mad, and he spun it around and in front of a bunch of GT cars and got going. Nick Tandy did get a drive-through penalty for that because he moved in a reaction and drove him off the track, which you can't do. And it was for third place too, so I'm not sure really why he made that move. It really wasn't necessary at all. Which is surprising because Nick Tandy is normally a very good driver.
He is.
So out of character for him. After we got green again, the BMW hypercars, they had used the perfect pit strategy. I thought they were going to run out of gas at the end, but they had actually timed it perfectly. Both cars had pitted right before that caution, so then they were able to cycle to the lead, and everyone could make it to the end on that tank of fuel. So both cars jumped from like 5th and 6th to 1st and 2nd. That's a good call from them. And then the GT drivers, there were too many incidents to explain everything that happened and all the people who got penalties. There were like 5 different cars that got drive-through penalties.
It was like an ARCA race.
It was really bad. I mean, we saw it. Turn 5 every lap. Someone was pushing someone off the track or making a dumb move. Yeah. So it was
not proper road racing at all. No, not the gentleman's sport it should be.
I don't know what got into those drivers.
Everybody wants to win a Road America. It's the nicest track in the country.
There was a pass for the lead in GTD at turn 6 with 8 minutes left. The RC Ferrari got around one of the customer Corvettes. There was a lot of side-by-side contact. There was no call on it. It looked like a pass at Bristol when you look at the replay. We didn't quite see that, but we saw, everything else, what it was shaping up to be. Luckily, both cars kept going, and the RC car was able to pull away a little bit. So in the end, BMW finished 1-2 with the 24 car of Philip Eng and Dries Vanthoor winning overall for their first win of the season.
And I do believe that that's the first time a BMW has won at Road America since the late 1970s.
That's a long time. I don't know very many people from the 1970s.
Hey, I was from the 1970s. I would have been 4 or 5 when they won last.
And then in the LMP2 class, Spike the Dragon won. Probably ran the cleanest race of everyone. Was in the lead just about the whole time.
I think that's what helped him run clean, was there's nobody to hit him.
So that was driven by PJ Hyatt and Dane Cameron.
So, 2 Americans.
Yep.
2 Americans won, and I called that one. I said Spike was going to win.
I bought a Spike t-shirt, so, doing my part to support the team.
Ale Racing, they are marketing geniuses.
And then in the GT Pro, it was the other Paul Miller BMW, the one that did not get the penalty, that was able to win. That's the number 1 car of Madison Snow and Neil Verhagen.
Madison Snow. I feel like I remember him racing Miatas or something back in the day. So.
No, he's been... I think he won the Imsa Championship the first year we started watching. He was in a Lamborghini that year with Brian Sellers.
I remember that name too. Maybe that's why.
That's probably why. And then in the GTD class, it was the RC Ferrari of Kenton Cook and Onofrio RC who were able to get the win. And then one bit of IMSA and World Endurance Championship news, sort of both. The Lamborghini factory announced they're scrapping the hypercar project. It was really bad. They raced 2 years. The first year in WEC, and they were awful. And then they realized they couldn't field 2 cars and try to be competitive. So then they switched, and this year they were only doing the endurance races in IMSA, and they were still really bad. The only time they've been competitive is in the rain. They had to get rid of their successful GT program. They lost their best customer in Iron Lynx, who is now a Mercedes team. So really a big failure from Lamborghini.
Yeah, and you can only lose so much money and suck so bad before you stop.
You can hire, all the big names. They had Grosjean and Fiat, the ex-Formula 1 drivers. Yeah, just the car was not good. And so it's got 2 more races, and then you will never see it again. So I'll see it because I'm going to Indianapolis, which is the next endurance race.
Oh, too bad you're not going to the last race. Maybe you could take the car home as a souvenir, since they probably want nothing to do with that shit.
Maybe I've already got a tire. I was able to get a souvenir tire from the Lamborghini Super Trofeo fellas. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, so that was IMSA at Road America this week.
All right, so next week we've got all 3 NASCAR series at Watkins Glen. Is that it?
Is IndyCar back? I don't know. They have a race in Portland sometime. I don't know when it is.
Well, why don't we say IndyCar is coming up at Portland?
Sometime in the next couple of weeks.
Sometime in the future, Indy will race in Portland. There's no Formula 1. There's no Imsa until a month from now, right?
Yeah.
So we'll just say it's NASCAR and maybe IndyCar. Who knows? We'll see what else. We'll fill time with something. Maybe there'll be more guys getting fired from their rides when they're in the top 10 in points. You never know. So thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.